Hello, fifth graders. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit different than we usually do. We're not actually going to be creating art today. We are going to be having a discussion after we learn a little bit about art museum curators. So we're going to watch this video and they are going to talk to a museum curator, and she is going to talk about her job, a little bit about what she does for the art museum that she works for. So let's go ahead and get this started.
I'm going to meet Eva Longray, the head of exhibitions at the Tawani Contemporary Gallery in Fitzrovia. Eva is known for her vibrant exhibitions showing the work of African artists, and she's going to spill her secrets on how to curate a successful exhibition.
So there's no rule in terms of how we put an exhibition together. Sometimes the artist already has.
So something I want you to keep in mind while we're watching this and listening to this art museum curator talk about her job and what it is she does, I want you to think about what skills an art museum curator needs to have in order to do their job. Think about what their job is, all the different things they do, and think about the knowledge that they need to have and the things that they need to know how to do in order to get their job done.
Has a strong idea of what they want to do, but it's always in response to your space. So no matter how much you plan, there's always an element of the exhibition that is only going to happen when the artworks and the space come together.
So she's talking there about how in order to create an exhibition, it's really up to the way the artwork looks. You really have to let the artwork speak to you as an art museum curator. For example, you would set sculptures out in a totally different arrangement than you would paintings on a canvas. Because with paintings on a canvas or something like that, you would put that and install that on a wall. But if you have sculptures, they would need to go either on a pedestal, somewhere on the floor, depending on their size. So she's talking about how you have to think as an art curator about what it is that you're presenting and how it is that artwork needs to be presented in an art museum. And now going back into this next topic, she's talking about surrounding yourself with people
who know what they're doing, and there's lots of fabricators that are involved, and people building things, people changing the space for you, framing, insurance, shipping. There's lots of things involved. Sometimes that gets in the way, actually, of creativity. There's a part of my job that's about bringing the two together. So encouraging the artist to be creative and come up with big ideas, and then at the same time trying to find a way to realize that within those logistical constraints.
So there she was talking about how she deals with lots of different people in her job. So she surrounds herself with people who are other art museum curators, who are framers, people who are framing the artwork, the artists themselves. Sometimes art museum curators even work directly with artists. If we're talking about contemporary art, of course, artists that are still alive and still making artwork today. And they actually commission artworks from them. So I don't know if we've talked about commissions yet. Commissions are when someone pays an artist to make an artwork for them. And they usually have certain restraints. Like in this case, for this curator, if she were to be commissioning artwork from an artist, she would have the room in which she wanted that exhibition to be from that artist, and maybe even a wall. They were going to make a mural or something like that. So the artist is kind of looking at that space and kind of making a piece that fits within that space. So the art curator is someone who is working directly with artists, directly with framers who are going to frame the artwork, trying to talk about what's possible, what's not possible with certain pieces and certain types of artwork. So an art curator is someone who is a very social butterfly. They are talking to lots of different people, working on lots of different little projects all the time, and really trying to work with people to get an exhibition going.
It is important to think of an exhibition in a broader sense. That's actually quite an important part of curating. It's creating those links between the work that an artist is doing now and the work that other artists might be doing at the same time. But it's also about creating a wider context where the work can be seen in relation to philosophy, in relation to a broader historical or social or perhaps a political context, and at the same time making sure that the project as a personal output is something that is close to whatever the artist had in mind.
So there she's talking about ways that you set up an exhibition and kind of the experience you're wanting to provide with it. So as an art curator, you would be thinking, okay, what sorts of things are happening right now? So for example, there are some art museums right now that are doing Black Lives Matter movement. That's something that's really big on a social level. Also, if there's anything about the environment, things are going on in the environment right now, or things that are going on in politics, they'll kind of frame exhibitions about that and kind of see how they can use that artwork that they are using as the art curator in this exhibition, how they can set that up, what sort of information they can add to sort of reflect what the artist wants the viewer to be thinking of if their artwork happens to be inherently political or along with some sort of social movement like the Black Lives Matter movement, something like that. So taking all of these things into consideration. So you're already seeing how art curators are using this sort of buildup of all of these different skills that they need to have in order to set up even just one exhibition.
There's been a lot of interest in contemporary art from Africa lately, but I think for us at the gallery, where we try to focus our energies on really bringing individual practices to the fore and looking at the specificity of the artists that we're working with. And so I think it's important for the artists to retain that freedom besides the label of contemporary African art.
So there they're talking about sort of stepping back from what we just talked about in the last point is while they're trying to make something that sort of goes along with a broad overall thing, overall topic that's going to draw a lot of people to want to look at the exhibit, like if they were to do a Black Lives Matter movement sort of exhibition with lots of different artwork from different artists. They still want to keep that individualism for each of the artists. Say they're putting in artwork from an African American artist. And that artwork was not created with the Black Lives Matter movement in mind. Maybe it was created years and years ago. They still want to make sure that that artist's original intentions, the meaning behind that artwork when they made it, is still present in the exhibition as well. So they're wanting to kind of keep that balance of making sure that the artist is still having their artwork represented the way that they intended for it to be, while also using that artwork and the artist to kind of further the movement or whatever subject it is that they are making with that exhibition.
So this is the work of Pamela Fatsimo Sandstrom, who is a young artist who was born in Botswana and now lives in South Africa. She's particularly interested in ideas around cosmology and around theories on the nature of the universe. Her practice is quite polyform, and that's something that I find interesting, but also thinking about the laws that govern the universe and trying to turn that into an artistic practice is something that I found interesting about her work. Every artist brings their own interest to the table, and every time it's completely different. We go from astronomy and cosmogony with Pamela to migration within Africa for David Petros to what it means to be a woman and one's personal experience as a wife with Virginia Shihota. And so working with an artist on that is something that's completely unique, and it's so inspiring.
So we've just seen a little interview with an art museum curator who focuses on African American. So I would like you to make a Flipgrid video. I have the link to that in the slideshow that you found this video on. It'll just be right below it. So I do have these questions written out for you with the Flipgrid video. However, I'm going to go ahead and read them to you right now just so that you can go ahead and start thinking about them. So the first question, what skills does a museum curator need to have? So what things did this museum curator talk about? Did I talk about, kind of building on what she had said, that are skills that she needs to have in order to do her job? What things that does she do, and what kind of skills does she need to be able to do those things? The second question, and this one's the one that's more of an opinion. What do you think? Is a museum curator also kind of an artist? Why or why not? So there could be definitely reasons as to why you would think that a museum curator with the certain things that they do could be an artist. But there's also reasons that you might say, oh, no, not really. They just work with artwork, but they're not an artist themselves. There's a lot of things that go into their job. So this is totally an opinion. There is no right or wrong answer to this question. This is not like a math problem that has one right answer. This is totally open-ended, and totally your opinion. Of course, if there's other videos from your classmates or from other fifth graders in other classes, feel free to watch those. This second question is a very opinionated question, and there's no right or wrong answer. Go into it with an open mind. Maybe you'll watch a video where you had said that you don't think that art museum curators are artists at all. You've given a bunch of reasons as to why you don't think that they are, but then you watch a video and you see that someone has said that they do think that an art museum curator is a lot like an artist, and they give you a bunch of reasons for that too, and maybe you'll kind of be swayed a little bit. Maybe that'll put you on the fence, or maybe you're still stuck on yours and you are like, nope, they are definitely not artists. And both of those are perfectly fine. This is definitely not meant to start arguments. This is just to kind of get you thinking about how art is really subjective. If something is subjective, that means that it is really up to everyone's own opinion, whether or not something is art, whether art is good or not. Not everyone's experience with art is exactly the same. All right. Thanks, fifth graders.